I'm going to try again. Let's see if I can get it to focus here for you. There it goes. So now it's run its test, and you can see it'll run at the following speeds: 10 base T, or 10 megabits per second. It'll run at 100 megabits per second. And you can see a little gap below that. That is where 1000 megabits would go. Obviously, this switch is not rated at 4000, so it's going to stop. That's all it can do. So I now know that I've got a 100 megabit switch plugged into it down there. I know that it's working. I know that if I was to hook something up to this, I'm gonna get all I need. You know, it's gonna work. All right. So that's the main features there for that. Now, another little trick this little tool can do, and what a lot of people pay for, is this little button right there. So I'm in the PoE testing screen. There's this little links here, or I guess you could say link light, and we're gonna press that button. And now you can see it's got a little light displayed on it. There's a link up here, or a test light there. And you can see over here it's blinking. Now what this is really good for is if you've got a wire that's plugged in like we do right now to a switch, and you're trying to figure out where it's plugged in. So you've tried to tone it, and you can't find it exactly. Go into your switch room, and you look on the switch for the one light that's blinking extremely slowly. So usually these lights are blinking super fast. But in this case, you can see there's my light blinking nice and slow. And that's the one I need. So port number 1, so you look on the back for port number 1, you unplug it, and you put your little tester on the end of that and see if you could retest your cable at that point and see if it's working, right? So that's a super handy feature that this little Klein does, and that's the main reason I wanted it, along with being able to test, you know, network connectivity, you know, which is super handy as well. So now here is what happens if you run a test on something that is plugged into a switch. Well, it's going to go pairs 1 and 2, 3 and 6 are in use. That's what's really happening. These two wires are actually getting used by the switch. So it's going to fail because it doesn't know what's going on. On the other end of the wire, it's obviously getting a signal through it. So that's not good. So don't do that test. It's not going to help you. Won't help on any of the testing equipment that I have. The other thing that this tool can do is a tone test, which is pretty standard stuff. You go into the tone menu, you can see, alright, well, it's going to be putting a tone signal on pair, or actually wire number 1, not pair in this case. Now it can actually test pairs, and you can see I can move it over to the right, and moves back, 7, 8, and now pairs. So it actually tests on pairs like that, that's no problem. It comes with a tone tool, so let's just say right now we'll go ahead and press that. Okay. And I'm not getting anything back, and that's where that tone light works really handy for you, because this happens to me a lot where, you know, I'm trying to find a wire and it's not going to work. Let's see if I put this tool down if it gets any better. Still can't hear it, so let's move our tool just a little bit so you can see it maybe. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to move it over to pair 3 and 6. Still not getting anything. There we go. So as earlier you saw when I did my test, 1, 2, 3, and 6 were effectively blinking or in use. Well, if you get just right on the network cable, there it goes. Now you can hear the signal. And that can be really tedious when you got a wire that's plugged up. Now, if this wire wasn't plugged up, it'd probably work a lot better. But, you know, there's 7 and 8 pairs working pretty good. And there's 1 and 2. Let's go back down here. This is just 4. So I can move around on my pairs and on my individual lines. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm moving it around. That's a nice split there. We'll get a nice loud signal out of that. So it has plenty of options to see if it can't at least get you something that's going to tone out. And that 1 and 8 is working really well on the switch. Now let's just see what happens. I'm going to unplug it from the switch altogether. And now you hear the electrical noise is gone, and it's pulling that signal up no problem. So if this was in a line, a trunk cable or something, you'd definitely find it if it was unplugged. But plugged in, of course, it's always a problem. So that's the main thing that you can use these little testing tools for. You know, a lot of good features in them. You know, PoE testing, toning, you know, just continuity testing. Excellent tool for that. You know, nice rubber case. So really, really good quality, good build, good tool. But, you know, for the money, this tool is just not giving you much more than what the old tool did. You know, I was able to do my pair testing with this. I was able to do tone testing. I was able to do ID testing. So I was able to check and say, hey, you know, what's plugged into me? So let's just, and we'll take one of these modules out of the bag here, and we're going to plug it in here to my old tool. And looky there. ID1 plugged in. So this thing costs $80, and it was capable of doing that. The main things it wasn't able to do were, of course, link light. So you couldn't turn the link light on a switch. Super handy to be able to do that, as you just saw. Toning a wire out with this was really hard. You know, but now I can turn the link light on and off when it's connected to something. That's handy. So very handy to have that ability. Both of these could actually tone through different pairs. So you can see on here, it's toning through pair 5. If I click it again, it'll move it around. So, you know, quite a few little options that it could do. And this was, you know, a while ago. So there we go. Moving it on to pair 6, you know, so it's capable of doing quite a bit of cool tricks too. It just can't turn the link light on, and it cannot test for 10 megabits per second, 100 megabit, 1000 connectivity. So it can't do speed tests on a switch. You know, so like if you have a switch hooked up to it like this, it can't tell you that it's going to pull 100 megabits and work for you, where the one below could actually tell you that. Now, if you got something called the Net Prowler from T3, which is this one's bigger brother, it'll actually tell you, you know, an IP address, and it can actually, I think some of them can actually start mapping the network. So they're basically a computer inside of them. But this tool is extremely handy, well built, good quality, but maybe just a little too pricey for what you're getting. I know that I could have saved $100 now. On the other brand instead of just paying for the Klein name. And I don't know about you guys, but this is something that came up real quick. This little guy is kind of small and handy sized, and what I did when I got this thing was it ended up going into one of these. So I got this from my mother-in-law. She you know, used it for medicine and stuff like that. It's just a simple little pouch, kind of a hard shell, you know, case or whatever, you know, had some rigidity to it. And I did put all my little networking tools. So I got my, you know, got my Kleins in there for crimping, cutters in there, got some connectors, a little thing, you know, to press the connections in. And then this little guy would fit right in this thing. So, boom. Now, I can walk in there with this little pouch in my hand and start terminating connections. Really cool, right? But this little guy comes, and you can see it's a lot bigger in my hand. So bigger tool. Comes in this big pouch. Okay. Fits in there, right? Nice pouch. Now, don't get me wrong here. This is really, really nice looking pouch. Good quality. Got a cover for that. Place for all your cables to go. So I can take this, put it there. You know, have a little testing cables, all my mapping tools. Boom. Close it. Comes in this nice big pouch. So yeah, it still looks professional. You know, got little zippers here. Zip it up. But look at the size of this thing. This is huge. And most of the time, I'm going in there with that on my back. So I've got backpack, and I got this thing side by side. And this thing literally will not fit inside of the backpack with all my tools. So I had to figure something else out, because there was no way I'm going to have this super awesome testing tool and not carry it 100% of the time with me, because you never know when you want to use this thing, right? So what do I do? And I suggest to anybody who's going to buy one of these that you come up with an ulterior, well, come up with a different plan. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with my words today. I got me another one. Same pouch. Take my little tester, throw it in there, right? I was going to put my tool behind that little screen, but I figured out way too much work. Put the little tester in here, and there you go. A lot smaller. Same size as my other kit. Big problem, of course, that you probably noticed there was that my other kit allowed me to carry all of my testing, or all my crimpers and my connectors and all that kind of stuff. Don't have that kind of room in here. So, might not work as far as, you know, like walking into the room and having just this, but I can take this and I put it in my backpack. Believe it or not, I actually carry both of these tools now in my backpack. And there you go. So I can zip this up and actually put it to use, no problem. And then when I go in, I just put my backpack on my back and ready to go. So food for thought. If you're going to buy one of these tools, just consider those options. It's a lot bigger tool. It's gonna be too bulky to carry it around in that bag that it comes with. So you may want to, you know, figure out a way. I know Klein sells multimeter pouches that you can put multimeters in. Maybe buy one of those and slide it inside that so you can at least fit it in your regular tool bag. But this super cool tool. Does a lot of stuff. Well built, durable. Of course, if you're trying to save some money though, I would definitely suggest that you shop it around. You know, like I said, very nice. Does a lot of stuff. Comes with, you know, multiple different tools to make doing networking easy, and also guarantee results for your customers, so that you don't have to come back because it didn't work and you didn't test it. Alright, before I forget, there's one more little trick this tool does, and basically what it can do is every time you run one of these network scans like this, it has a little disk over here, and you can hit save on this, and you can save a test into memory. And when you get done with that, you can actually go back out here. We'll go over here to the settings. It says files. And here you can see I've got 2 cable tests that I've done. So let's just say that's room 12 and this is the networking closet. So I've done these 2 tests. Boom. And now I can see my tests. So that's great, you know, and that's real handy. But what do you do with this information, right? And here's another one. Take a look at it. Looks like this was just you know, the speed test and the, you know, what transfer rate I'm running at. So actually this was a power over Ethernet test as well. So really good information, but you got to do something with it after you get it. So if you come over here, I've got my computer hooked up right now, And you can see there's a USB cable.